Hi, girlfriend.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I got my hat on today.
I know. It's so cute. Are you going to do your.
Should I do it?
Yeah.
So I'm fashionable, right?
Uh huh.
Now I'm Huckleberry Finn. And now I'm the guy down in the country with the straw sticking out of his mouth. How you doing? You got a pretty mouth. Crazy what
This is when you
It's
know.
crazy.
This is when you know you hit the funny bone. Like when you see this fucking vein bulge out, that's like, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy what 3 inches will do, isn't it?
A whole lot of good stuff happens in those 3 inches.
True story.
Good times. All right. Jesus.
Anyways, back to the hat, back to real life. Here we go. So how are you? How was your holiday?
It was good. It was quiet. You had fun. You went out of town.
We did. We went to Austin to see my bro and his wife. We went and saw the state capitol in Austin. And I did a little singing.
You did?
There was like a really cool atrium that had a wonderful echo and great acoustics. And so I was like, silent night.
Oh,
I
God. You were
promise
singing Christmas songs?
Yeah, I sounded way better than that, though, I promise.
I mean, did people throw like tomatoes or anything at you? Were they like, shut up with your Christmas bullshit? It's not time.
No, they actually started to gather. I had quite the audience, and when I was done, they were cheering, and I was like, heck yeah. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, no, we had a great time with my brother and his wife, and it was a good time, just a flat out fun trip. So
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Well, I put up
yeah.
a post like a couple of days before Thanksgiving and I was like, what won't you eat? Basically, was like, what about
Mm.
Thanksgiving dinner won't you eat? The volume of people that talked about how much they hate cranberry sauce was surprising.
Hate it.
It's funny because so I put in there, I'm like, well, I won't eat the turkey or the ham or the green bean casserole. My friend Vanessa King was like, what exactly do you eat then? I'm like,
Yeah. So what do
deviled
you
eggs,
eat?
stuffing, rolls, cranberry sauce. I make cranberry relish, so it's different, but cranberry relish, pumpkin pie, pecan pie, like salad. I'll eat everything else. And then someone was talking about oyster salads.
Oh, Kenny's family does it. Great on you guys. I love you, Johnson.
Ugh.
They do an oyster dressing. And whatever, it's for them. It's not for me. We are Southern in my family, so we do the cornbread. I cannot
Yep.
do the oyster. I cannot wrap my head around it. My girl, they chow it down. They chow that
It's so
oyster stuff
gross.
down. Like, oh, I don't get it, but I don't have to get it. I don't have to get it. It is not my jam. Get it? Cranberry jam.
Not your jam. Not your jam.
I'm so penny.
You're so
Okay.
funny.
Anyway.
I hear you have a story that you're going to share with us. All
Yeah,
right.
a couple episodes ago, you talked about one of your buyers and your horror story situation.
It was my first listing.
So this was my first official closing on the buy side, which was also my first like closing altogether. So this was 7.5 years ago at this point. Long time. I've been through some mud since then. Now this story would not
It's a
bother me.
long time in real estate.
It's been so long.
We're old biddies now. Some old crusty bitches.
In this business, we kind of are, if you really think
know.
about it.
We don't ever tell anybody how long we've been in real estate now.
Yeah, it's like enough times, enough
Yeah.
years. Okay, so it was the first buyer that I ever had, first like transaction I'd ever had, and you don't know what the heck you're doing. So I went through the whole process. The buyer was less than nice, I guess is a good way to say it. To me, I don't know if she knew that I just had never done a deal before or whatever, but she wasn't maybe the nicest human being to me. True story. So we went through the whole transaction. We got her the unit that she wanted, the house that she wanted, and we were about to close, and we had to do final walkthrough. Well, I would say that probably I didn't know maybe the value at that point of final walkthrough, right? Because hadn't really done anything in real estate, didn't really know anything, so I didn't truly know the value of it. And so we did it the day of closing, and it was actually the morning of closing. Well, I couldn't be there, and so I think it was the listing agent, Craig. By the way, Craig, you're the bomb. You're gonna get a shout out on this one, buddy. Craig actually, I think, was the one that went over and did the showing because, ironically, I was showing a house to an investor in Holden. And so, did you see that thumbs up too?
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
I don't know.
What the hell is that? Thumbs up, bro.
I don't know because I did do. Oh, it's seeing it every time I do it.
It's on your end because when I do it, it's not doing it, right? It's on your end.
Can you see it in the video though? Okay, anyways, we'll just keep going. Okay, so I say ironically because that was actually the first time I'd ever been to Holden, as far as I knew. And so now we have a house in Holden, so that's why I say ironically. But I'm driving to Holden, and at this point, I didn't know anything about Holden. I didn't really know the buyers that I was showing this house to, and I had the most horrific service on my phone in the existence of the world. My buyer calls me, getting ready to go to closing. She says, "I'm not closing on this house." And I'm like,
oh, shit.
okay, I think I just pooped in my pants a little bit. Why aren't you closing on this house? And she said they switched out the refrigerator. I said, okay, let me call the listing agent. So let me tell you about the refrigerator. When we went the first time to the home, it was this gigantic refrigerator that didn't fit in the hole. Okay, so you walk into the kitchen and the refrigerator is stuck out and sideways in order to even just get one corner kind of pushed in. It looked horrific. And I thought to myself, oh, this is horrible. She's going to hate this. So they switched it out without us asking. Okay, it was not on contract to switch it out without us asking. So I called the agent, Craig, and I'm like, hey, Craig, there's a severe problem. Your sellers switched out the refrigerator. And he's like, yeah, I know. We thought she may want one that actually fit in the hole. I said, cool story. Go back and switch it. Go switch it back. Because she wants that big, god awful, doesn't fit in the whole refrigerator back. And he's like, what? This is a brand new refrigerator. We just got it delivered. It actually fits in the hole. What? She's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to cancel the entire contract. So here I am driving in the country. And I mean, like, I was in the woods. I didn't know where I was going. I had never shown an investor properties before. So I was trying to help them and trying to deal with this. It was the most atrocious thing. She's yelling at me. I'm like, I didn't do this. I don't
Wait a
know what
minute.
she wants.
She's yelling at you, though?
Oh, she was not very nice. Remember?
Got it.
So it was all my fault, and
Of
which
course.
is common. Yeah, common.
Absolutely.
So Craig's on the other phone, and he's like, I don't understand the logic here, but let me see what I can do. So that dude saved this entire deal. He ended up calling either Home Depot or Lowe's, and he was like, hey, we need a bigger refrigerator. So they said, we will swap out the refrigerators. We'll give you the bigger refrigerator, which was like an $800 difference. He and I were just going to pay for it because just whatever. It was like an $800 difference. He told the guy at Home Depot what was going on. The guy at Home Depot gave him an entire $800 discount on the refrigerator, said it would be delivered the very next morning, and they would pick up the old refrigerator and take it back. I was like, Craig, are you kidding me? He's like, no, I got you. I did it. It's all done. And I was like, dude, it took like 4 hours. I'm not even about to lie to you, Jana. It took like 4 freaking hours for us to work through this thing. But he finally worked through it. And the buyer was like, okay, sounds good. We'll close tomorrow then. So we didn't actually close on the day. We closed the next day because she wanted to make sure the refrigerator was going to be there. But dude, like, here's why I like wanted to tell that story. Your story was your first listing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Agents get into this business and then they have these god awful, atrocious first deals. And then they're like, if this is what real estate is about, I'm done. And I actually have had a larger team than I do now. I've had 2 agents quit after their first deal went
Same.
Pew! And then they never recover. And then guess whose fault it also is? Throw me on Facebook for that one again.
I seriously had an agent that quit after having a VA deal that was already underwritten on it. They'd already seen the house at an open house. They wanted to put in an offer with a 3-week closing time, no inspections, as is the whole ball of wax. It was the sweetest, easiest, cleanest freaking deal ever. And at the end of it, she literally said, yeah, I don't think this is for me. I'm like,
wait, it closed?
What?
It closed
Yes.
3 weeks, no inspections,
Yes.
VA closed?
Yes.
And she quit?
And she quit because it was too hard.
Okay, like, well, good. Adios.
Well, part of me was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is like the easy street you could have.
Thumbs up.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to hijack it. Just it was a
No,
hilarious.
no, no. I love it. I love it. And that's the thing about like that
He's
I
like,
think.
deuces, bye, Felicia. She also was my
Yes.
sister.
Oh, well, minor detail. We won't talk about that.
I think that most people don't realize the volume of stress we carry. Yes, they're buying or selling their largest investment, and that in and of itself is stressful. But when you're
Yeah.
trying to keep everybody where, on the same page, you got 10 different people to communicate with, you've got all of the, title, lender, admins, all of the your broker, your other agents, all these things. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on there that you have to kind of hold together, and it can get really stressful, especially if someone goes on tilt over a refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I learned through that very first transaction was agents like Craig who are going to just do whatever it takes to get it done. There is a solution to almost every single problem.
Yes.
And he did not give up until we found that solution.
I
And we
love
gave
that.
my buyer enormous amounts of options. Like we bring it back, she wanted it back. Essentially, she wanted it back. And unfortunately, the seller was on the road almost to Arkansas at that point. So that
Yeah.
really wasn't an option. But we gave her every single option known to man. And she wasn't having it until Craig finally got like, okay, brand new, same size as what was there. It's not going to fit. You understand it's not going to fit. And she was, whatever, she was totally fine with it. So, anyways, agents like that
Yeah.
kind of made a newer agent understand. But on the consumer side, always do a final walkthrough.
You've got to check, inspect what you expect.
Yeah, and,
So,
and people are always like, what do we even do in the final walkthrough? Make sure that they haven't torn down the walls and left dog turds everywhere. I mean,
well, and we
there's,
take our resolution too, and all of their receipts and invoices, and we literally walk through the house and make sure they even did the repairs, like everything.
oh, yeah.
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 You
But
have
if
to.
like there's no repairs, it seems silly to some of my buyers. It has
Yeah.
seemed silly if there was no repairs, no issues. But it's like, okay, but what if in the time we were here last to the time they were here last to now, the basement flooded? I mean,
Right.
I've had a deal like that where the water had been dripping for like 2.5 weeks and nobody knew it, and so there's water damage all down the wall.
Yep.
And that was final walkthrough. They had to do it the next day we were closing. So you never know what's going to come up, man. They're so
No.
important to do.
And I tell people too, I'm like, if you go to the closing table without looking at the property, you've accepted whatever you walk into when you get here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Period.
that's the way it is. So it's
Period.
better to
Yeah.
just go check and make sure it's what you want, and nothing has changed because we've had people leave animals, lots of
What?
them. We've had people leave,
What?
yeah, a goat, chickens. There was a dog. There were cats with kittens. Yeah, people do all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's better to just go check it out before you sign on the dotted line. Because once you sign on the dotted line, it's yo's. I will say, in the beginning, I think a lot of agents are afraid to tell people that they're new, right? There's because you don't want to seem like you're inexperienced and you can't handle it. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, I'm a newer agent, but I have a team of people behind me, you know what I mean, that are helping me out or whatever." And I think being upfront and real with people is always a good
Mm-hmm.
thing. But
Yeah,
it is hard.
and that's why I tell my team, like, lean into my experience.
Yeah. Yep.
Let them know you're not doing this by yourself. You have a very experienced team leader behind you so that you can say, "Hey, she's already dealt with this. She knows how to deal with it.
Yep.
It's not new to her." And there is stuff that I obviously don't know still cuz I'm not that experienced in all things, but they can lean heavily on my
Mhm.
experience. And I even tell them, like, make sure they understand if you're taking a listing, you're not just getting you're getting you plus me plus anybody on our team. And, there's a whole boatload of people behind you if you can.
Yep.
So I think that's wonderful to do, which is also why I think it's important for agents to go on teams at first,
Mhm.
unless they're a little nuts. But that's just because I didn't go on a team.
Or they come from a sales background or have that experience and understand,
Yeah.
how it works,
Yeah.
the mechanics of
Yeah.
sales, because most people come into real estate and they're like, I just like to show houses. Like, no.
It's so
I mean,
cute. You're so cute, Karen.
that's like a 1% of the job. I hate to break
Yeah.
it to you,
Oh,
but
Karen, you're so adorable.
you're like, bless your heart. And I think that's really important that not every agent is the same. Every agent operates their business differently. Every agent handles their communication differently. They have different support systems and they have different communication styles and all those things. And I think it's really important to interview, even if you know somebody that you like. I really do think consumers should definitely at least talk to a couple people, even if you don't intend to hire, just talk. You know what I mean? You got to figure
Yeah.
out who you gel with.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
You want to talk a little bit about what people are feeling these days?
I feel
It's
like
rough.
people are teeny tiny bit discouraged right now. Everybody seems to be saying kind of the same thing. Like, not just real estate agents. It seems like everybody's saying, like, I'm working harder than I've ever worked and I'm broker than I've ever been.
Inflation is real.
Yeah, it is frustrating. But what do you do? I don't know.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of months, especially because we're, at the time of this recording anyway, we're starting to see interest rates decline. But we're also heading into that time of year where most Fortune 100, 200, 500 companies are doing their layoffs, their rounds of
Yeah.
layoffs. And I think that tends to scare people a lot. The news then comes out about these companies are laying people off, and you get a little scared and you start to hunker down. I'm not going to spend any more extra money. I'm going to cancel all those subscriptions I don't use, or I don't use often or whatever. I mean, we're definitely in that boat for sure. It's been an interesting year. I mean, we had some challenges in the beginning of the year that kind of set us up not in a great spot with some business ventures and whatnot that we've talked about before. And, we're in that position where we're evaluating whether or not, we are going to sell our house because we got our new tax bill, we got our new homeowners insurance policy, and our mortgage is going to increase by almost $300 a month, $400 actually.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, like our taxes have gone up to like almost $7,000 a year. Our homeowners insurance policy has doubled because 2 years ago we put a new roof on our house after a storm.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can't get new insurance. You can't get new homeowners insurance if you've had a claim in the last 5 years, unless you move and buy a new house.
Since when? Because I had a claim a couple of years ago and I changed my insurance this year.
What I've been getting told by a lot of the insurance, and this was before too, is it's 5 years. It depends. There's a couple of insurance companies that will let you switch, but the policies are almost double and they don't have the same coverage. So
maybe I just
don't
got
know.
really lucky then. We
Yeah,
got a new
maybe.
roof in I think it was 2020. We got a new roof and I switched insurances last year or this year, and I saved, I want to say like $450 a year when I
You need to
switched.
tell me who that is because we got our roof
Yeah.
replaced in 2020, and right now they're telling us we can't change.
Ashley Hoffner with Country Financial. That's who it is.
Okay.
She also just changed our insurance on our rental properties and saved us an exorbitant amount of money. Our payment is going to go down actually, and it's better coverage.
Nice.
It's better coverage. Yeah, she's done really well for all of my clients except for one. She just could not make it work, but she has. I've had people say, oh, I had a quote for 2,600, I have a quote for 2,800, and Ashley can get it done for 1,800. I mean, that's an exorbitant amount of money saved per month. So she's phenomenal. They are
interesting. Yeah, I'd love to talk to her.
Yeah, she's amazing. I'll send you her number. Little plug for old Ash. There you go, girl. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, so we're running up against those couple of things. Like our taxes went up a little over $2,000 a year. So between those two things, we're like, should we go ahead and sell? I mean, I hate to even say this out loud because, people get mad about this kind of stuff, but our interest rate is 2.875.
Yeah.
And, we bought our house for 378. And right now we could turn around and sell it for probably 575 or 6. So, I mean, we make good money on it. But then we have to turn around and buy something else. So what we've been doing actually is, and we use this strategy a lot and just in our rental properties and fix and flips and stuff like that too, but we're looking at doing creative financing. And so that looks like things like owner financing with a purchase money mortgage or subject to. There's lots of different ways you can work those deals. But, we put in offers on 4 properties. All 4 of them countered us and were willing to do seller financing.
What?
Yeah, all
4 of them?
All 4 of them came back.
Whoa.
And we're like, well, here's a counter proposal. And 2 of the agents, when they, when they countered back, I had to educate them on what I was offering because a lot of agents don't really understand creative financing. That's not that's not something you're taught in real estate school, and it's not that common. It's becoming a lot more common. But anyway, Long story short, all 4 of them came back to us with counteroffers. 2 of them were like, "You want 60% down." I'm like, "No." No, no, no. But you can do things like, I want to amortize it over 30 years. So I want my payment to look like it's a 30-year loan, but I'm only going to take out a 5-year loan. And then you're going to get a lump sum payment in 5 years. And
Yeah.
the deed is in my name and I pay taxes and insurance. You act like the bank, you
Yep.
hold the note, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I was really pleasantly surprised about that, but we didn't end up going that route. We actually have done a couple different things, like cutting some of our bigger expenses, cutting some of our bigger real estate expenses as well. We've cut a lot of stuff to kind of get us into a position where we're okay. Well, maybe we don't need to necessarily sell, because I love this house. This is my favorite house ever, and I
Yeah.
don't want to sell it. And I have
Right.
2.875, so it's really hard to sell it.
It's very hard.
But my whole argument was, if I can get into a creative financing deal, pay them 5% or pay them 6%, I don't mind doing that. I mean, because I'm getting a really good deal on this property in doing that too. And it's a less hit. There are a lot of people that are in that boat that are like, I'm doing okay. Not as great as I was, and maybe not as great as I think I should be, but we're okay. If this stays like this and we're heading into an election year, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time.
And that's the hard part. As much as you love your house, man, having to sell a house is hard sometimes emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah, it
I know
is.
that seems weird. That seems counterintuitive for us to be saying, like, it's hard. The thing is I am actually more empathetic to people having to sell their homes on an emotional level than most people would ever understand. Because to me, it's not just a transaction. Like, we've talked about that before. It is
Yep.
legitimately changing someone's life. But on the seller side, it's also changing every environment. It's every memory is now moved. Every occasion that was, every celebration, like, that is all gone now. And I know this is, people are going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked. Every single home that my parents have sold, I have cried my eyes out, like a
Really? Even as an
little, yes,
adult?
especially as an adult. And this
Wow.
next one that they have to sell, you will have to pick me up off of the floor. Because, so let me
Why?
tell you, the first one we sold was the first, like, house that I remember living in, right?
Okay.
We moved from there to just a few houses down. They built on what we call the top of the hill. And then they ended up selling it. I cried, just protested as much as I could protest. And they said, "We're doing it anyways." Fine. Trauma. Hello, party of one. Moved up to the big house. They sold that. I lost it. They moved to another house and I helped them sell that one. I cried when they sold that one. Then they moved across the street. This one that they moved across the street, okay, this is the last one I helped them sell. That one is the one that we had Ricky's celebration of life, my son that we had that was
Mm,
stillborn. Well,
hmm.
I mean, what a colossal memory to leave behind in a home.
That's
And
true.
when we went to do the final walkthrough for them, so they on the sell side wanted to do a final walkthrough, I said, I have to go to this home one more time. I'm
Yeah.
walking around the home just bawling my eyes out. I mean, I could not control myself. I was so emotional. And my mom goes, "Are you?" She's kind of laughing at me. "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine, but this is the only place we had a party for my baby." And, like, when you have those big memories, it's hard to move
Yeah.
on. So this next house that they're selling is actually a church that my grandpa built in the late 70s. And my parents got married in '09 that they got married. And they were the first couple to get married in that church. And then my grandpa pastored it forever. And then whenever he retired, they ended up selling it. Well, my dad and mom bought it. They've renovated it into the most spectacular home. Girl, let me just tell you, when that house sells, I am going to lose my mind. And it's like the most spectacular home. Two families can live there. There's an entrance for the upstairs and the downstairs, full kitchen, full laundry, both ones, bathroom.
Where
Like,
is it? And would they
it's in a,
consider seller financing?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's in Oak Grove. But it'd make a really cool rental property too. And it's basically a 5 bedroom, or it's a 5 bedroom with two non-conforming. So it's basically a 7 bedroom
Oh,
with three
Jesus. I
full
don't need
baths.
anything that big.
It's pretty nice. But anyways, I say that because I understand you have these memories. Kenny, when we were I'm sorry to talk about this. This part is kind of sad, but it's just life. When we had Ricky, we had to decide whether we wanted to bury him in a cemetery or cremate him. And we put a lot of thought into it, and we both decided I want cremation because we want him here. So he actually sits right next to our TV in a little shadow box with his little footprints, his little hat that
Aw.
he had. And like we wanted to be able to have him with us constantly because we
Yeah.
both talked about, well, what if we buried him out here? Well, then what if
Yeah.
you move? And so when
Hmm.
our dogs got eaten by coyotes a couple of years ago, we were actually
Whoa,
thankful that
whoa.
we didn't.
Okay, we'll come back to
We
that.
were kind of thankful that we didn't have their bodies because we didn't have to struggle with burying them on a property that what if we move and
Yeah.
then they're not with us. So yeah, it's I get understand fully understand when people struggle. You just said it like I love this home. It's my favorite home. It's
Hmm.
so crazy. People don't think about how hard it's going to be emotionally when you go to sell a home, unless you're just like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, I hate you, home." So I get it. I get it.
Well, I will say this. It is a little different for me. This is probably the first house that I've ever felt this way, like that I don't want to leave.
Interesting.
It is because my parents and my mom's side of the family all lives in the Kansas City area. My dad's side of the family all lives in southern Oklahoma. And so we would move back and forth like every two
Oh,
years, roughly,
oh
with my
wow.
very profoundly handicapped brother, my older brother, and my
Oh
younger
wow.
sister. We always were moving. This house is the longest I've ever lived in one place.
What?
And we bought it in 2019. The interesting thing about it is like I'm attached to this house, which is weird because I've never been attached to a house because to me it's like, okay, this is just a place where my stuff is, I'm taking care of my life, working, doing all those things. It's not my kids though are. And probably I
Mm.
will say this, if it wasn't for Kai being adamant that he is in a good high school, he's comfortable, the kids are great, the school is great, he loves he's in all these extracurriculars. If it wasn't for him like really pushing us to be like I don't want to leave this school. I want to stay in this school. I love it. It's amazing. I don't want to leave. We probably would have moved already.
Hmm.
Like a year ago.
Uh,
We
And
probably
how
would
old
have.
is he?
16.
He's 16. So
Yeah.
he's got at least 2 years left in school.
Yeah, he's a sophomore, so he have 2 more years, 2.5 years left of school, and then we probably will.
The day he graduates, you're like, listed.
Maybe, yeah, something like that. When we talk about this kind of stuff, so here's exact same story, almost. My husband grew up in the same house that his great grandfather was born in.
Whoa.
Okay,
Whoa.
he had lived in the same house his entire life.
That's crazy.
It drives him crazy because I'm ready to go. Like I'm usually, you give me 2 years, and I'm like, let's go. I'm ready for the
Yeah.
new experience, the new
Yeah.
neighborhood. I love that. That's just my personality.
Yeah.
But for him, it's very difficult. And so for the kids, it's always been really difficult for them too.
I'm very similar in that aspect of you, of the fact that like whenever I moved out of my parents at 18, and I would say from 18 to when I met Kenny, I think I was 31 or 2 when I met Kenny, something like
Hmm.
that, 32 maybe. I think I had moved something like 28 times in that time frame. And that just was normal for me.
Yeah.
And it may have only been one apartment on this level to this level, that's still a move. But
Yeah.
and then Kenny's like, my parents have lived in the same house since I was conceived. I'm like, what? How does that happen?
I don't
I don't even know what
understand
that
that.
means.
Yeah.
I don't
That
get
makes
it.
no sense to me. I don't know. How do you do that? How do you not get bored
Yeah,
and like
right.
want to
So
leave?
now I'm stuck here, which, whatever, it's fine. Our taxes are so low. It's fine.
I
Totally.
know. That's why I was like, oh,
And our interest rate, 1.875. Oh, what?
are you for
Yeah.
real?
I'm for
Shut the
real.
fuck up.
And it only cost us $3,000 or it was like 2,200
Oh, because you
actually
bought it down. Hmm.
to get, yeah, 22 whole $100. Whoop-de freaking do. It was at 2%, and I was like, nah, 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 nah. We got to get a 1 in front of it. And she's like, okay, let's do it.
I love that. That's awesome. I probably should have done that. We didn't buy ours down.
How do you leave 10 acres for less than $600 a year in taxes and a
Holy
1.875 interest?
shit.
Oh yeah, it's like 585 I think in taxes for 1,800 square feet, 10 acres with a building and a pond. Yeah, it's quite. But you got to live in Holden, so
Holy
what are you gonna
shit,
do?
Moxie.
I know it's cheap. It's like they pay us to live here.
I know. Oh my God. Holy cow. That's
I know.
awesome.
We got very lucky. We had good timing.
When we were looking, we were actually looking for farmland. We wanted something with acreage. And we're on an
Yeah.
acre here, surprisingly, in a subdivision, but in the middle of town in Shawnee. But we were wanting to be on acreage. Like I need to be I want to opt into the crazy, the hustle and bustle. I want to opt into it. My husband wants to be in the thick of it and he wants to opt into the peace and quiet. And I'm like, no, no, no.
Ah.
I want peace and quiet as my baseline default. And I want to opt into the crazy like on Saturday night or something. And then I want to hop right back out to the stars and the howling and the whole 9 yards. Like I
Ugh.
cannot. Blech.
I hate the stars and the howling and the whole. I do like the stars, but I hate the howling and the whole nine
Well,
yards, man. I'm always like waiting for around the corner, to come out with a
yeah, that's true. It's a
pitchfork
little
and
dark,
kill me.
and my
Yeah.
ex-husband's property was butted right up against the Tetons in eastern Idaho, and
Oh,
it terrified me. This is my ex-husband.
yeah.
Terrified me whenever we were I'd never seen mountains before. I grew up here. I'd never seen mountains before. It was my first time out there, and listening to the coyotes and the wolves
Oof.
howling.
If I hear coyotes, I know they're probably not going to hurt me, but I just take off running into my house. Like I
Yeah.
cannot. I just am not a big fan of the outside. True story.
It's
I'm not a big fan.
it is so
Oh well.
scary. You said a few minutes ago something happened to your pets. Your
Yeah.
dogs. We have 4
Yeah.
dogs. I'm a dog person. I know how tough that is.
Oof.
What the fuck happened?
Yeah, so I had Yoda for like seven
Yoda.
years.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that.
Yoda. When I got him, he was 7 months old and he was so little, but he had this like kind of big head with huge ears. He was a Chihuahua. And so I was stuck between either calling him Bear or Yoda. And I was like, it's too ironic to call a 3-pound dog Bear. And so I named him Yoda. He was my homie. Like, for real, moved so many times with me, so many breakups, helped me through my divorce, like so many things. That dog was there for me. And then we decided to get Copper. He was also a Chihuahua, and he was a little more adventurous than Yoda. Yoda was kind of like me, like pretty, pretty princess. He would like dive into his sweaters. He wanted
Oh
into
my
his
god, I love
clothes.
that.
For real, I would just hold it up and he would just dive in. The Copper was a little
Aw.
different. He was a little bit more adventurous. And so they started going out into the field more and more and more and more and more and more and farther and further. And I didn't realize it. Our dog sitter had said to us the weekend before, she's like, hey, it was really weird. The dogs, when I let them out, they just bolted into the field. And she had, sat for us for long enough. She knew that was weird. I was like, gosh, that's so strange. Didn't really think about it. Didn't think anything of it. And one night Kenny went out to go to the bathroom and the coyotes were howling. No big deal. They always howl, so it's not like it was a large conundrum or anything. And then I woke up about 2.5 hours later and let him out. And silly me, I didn't turn the porch light on. So why is that thumbs up? This needs a
Oh
thumbs
no.
down. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Get it together. So I didn't turn the porch light on because I had to go pee too. And so I just let him out and ran to the bathroom. And they got eaten by coyotes while I was in the bathroom. And it was like, I probably was in the bathroom for like 2.5 minutes.
Did you hear it?
No, because luckily I had flipped on the fan because it's not as bright with the fan light. And then I turned off and I heard the neighbor's dog yelping. And she, not like, this was 4 in the morning. Okay. So not like her to be over here, not like her to be yelping. And I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, she just ate my dogs, which is so stupid because she loved Yoda. That was her dog. And so I ran outside. She's there. And I'm like, Abby, what's wrong? She's running up and down and she's freaking out. And you could tell Abby was just physically distraught. She was distraught. She just sat and watched her 2 friends get eaten. I mean, that's all there is to it. So luckily I didn't hear them. I didn't have to hear any of it. There was no trace of them, no blood. They both had their little jackets on, no jackets. Kenny came home and scoured the whole field one step at a time. Didn't find a single thing. So the good thing is it was like instant, there was no pain, no suffering. I guess when coyotes, they hunt for a while. They will hunt you for a while. So they
So
had
they were
apparently been,
watching.
yeah, they had been watching. We had had rabbits here for a little while and those got eaten. And so they were what drew the coyotes in. But they had been watching and just kind of drawing them out. And Yoda would have never, ever been able to be drawn out because he was the
Aw.
scaredest dog. But Copper was a little more ballsy and a little bolder, and so he just kind of drug him out there and they got him. So it was pretty bad. I stayed outside till like 8 o'clock that morning, just like watching, waiting, hoping maybe I'm crazy.
Aw.
So yeah, it was pretty bad. But and that's been like I want to say that was like 3 years ago, something like 3 years ago. And I'm still not ready to get another dog. It's so hard. I keep looking at these dogs and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want another puppy so bad. I just want a dog. I don't even care if it's a puppy.
The companionship, yeah.
And the other thing is I keep looking at the dogs that I want as like, oh, that's what Yoda was like. I can't replace a Yoda. Yoda is irreplaceable. Ask any person on this planet that ever met him.
Yeah.
That dog is irreplaceable. Copper, yeah, probably replaceable. Yoda, not replaceable. And so when you're still trying to replace that wound, it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
can't get another dog in replacement of Yoda yet because I still need to. But Jana, here's the other thing. You want to hear the worst part? That
Yeah.
is not the first time I've had two dogs die in one day. When I was married the
What?
first time, I come home and my ex-husband, I had worked like 12, 13 hours that day. And I come home and my ex-husband says, can you sit down? So I sat down. I was like, this is weird. He said, Chief ate Max and I killed Chief. And I was like, oh, that escalated very quickly. So
Wait,
11,
what?
yeah, his dog had killed my dog. And so I told him, if your dog ever hurts my dog, he had a pit bull, I had a pug. I said, if your dog ever hurts my dog, we have to get rid of your dog. And he said, okay, that's fine. Well, they got into a fight a month before that. He didn't get rid of him like he said he would, hence him being ex-husband. And then he comes home and Max is dead. Chief had killed Max, and so he shot Chief. So I came home that day to two dead dogs. So girl, I've come home twice, or I've suffered through two dead dogs at the same time twice in my life. I'm like,
Oh my
maybe
God.
I don't want any more dogs. I don't know.
It's tough. Having these
It's
babies
tough.
are tough, man.
It
They,
is because you fall in love and you're gonna outlive them majority of the time. So it's
yeah,
what who wants that kind of heartbreak again? I sure am not
I
set up
know.
for it. So I keep thinking I want another dog, but then I see a story of someone who just had a dog die, and I'm like, okay, that's why I don't want another dog. So
You know what though? I mean, I will say this. We had Charlie. He was our rat terrier. He's a AKC registered rat terrier. He was 24 pounds when we got him. He was really abused when we got him, and he was 2. He just passed away a year ago. We ended up having to let him go because he was starting to have seizures and nonstop seizures and lost full control of his everything and wasn't eating, and it was not good, and I just couldn't watch him decline like that anymore. When we got back from Thanksgiving last year, we ended up having to put him down, and I'm like, I don't think I could ever do this again. I don't think I could.
ugh,
He was my baby. He was my
ugh,
baby.
yeah.
And he was 19 years old. I mean,
Ooh,
I've had him a
girl.
long time, 17
Holy
years.
moly. He's gone through he was there before your son was born. Oh my
No,
god.
my oldest, no. Well, so he
No,
was,
Kai.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, long
He,
before.
that's crazy. You had that dog before you had your youngest child. That's
Yep,
crazy to me.
yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. See, it's stories like that.
Yeah. But you know what though? I mean, kind of that conversation we had right before Christmas of, some of the challenges that, we've had, just mental health issues and things like that. I will say that the dogs have been like the best part. You know what I mean? They're just so unconditionally love you to pieces, want to make you happy, want to see you smile, want to play, want to cuddle. I love that. They've been my saving grace, that's for sure.
Honestly, I hadn't really thought about that.
Mm.
Truthfully.
You just get attached. But we got Chip 2 years ago, or yeah, 2.5 years ago. He was a puppy. I'd never had a puppy before, ever. That was fun.
Will you ever have one again?
Yeah. Now that I mean, we did all the things. We did put him through training. We did, we even did an overnight training because he was starting to get kind of weird about stuff, about food and things. And so we did a 2-week overnight training thing and everything. He's great now. He's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, the puppy was rough, but I'd do it again. We now have 3 dogs and they're the sweetest things ever. And I don't know what I would do without them. I really don't.
Yeah.
That's my story. Sticking to it. There you
I'm a
go.
little jelly. I'm a little jelly, but I'm not.
You got to get you
Okay, okay,
one.
okay, okay, okay. We've talked about enough sad stuff, right?
Well, is it
I
going to get better?
don't know. All right, let's talk about some local news. Local news.
News.
We're not going to do what they do on the, the boys broadcast. No news. We're not going to do that because that would be like taking their stuff. So
Yeah,
instead,
it's
we're
probably
going to,
copyright.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We have got the T in KC right now.
TNKC news. News.
Get it, girl.
Okay. So something that I saw today that was very interesting, or was it yesterday? I don't know what day I saw it, but I could not believe it. And Jana, girl, you've met me. You know I'm a little flighty on my numbers, so you may need to rein me in here. But one of the things that I saw that I could not believe was there is a $1.28 billion discrepancy that they just found for the Royal
Oh,
Stadium. The
it wasn't a
proposed.
discrepancy. It was a formula error.
Oh, okay. So how do you not formula $1.28 billion worth?
It's a rounding error.
I love that
No
you
big.
say that, surrounding here. So this is for the new Royal Stadium, the proposed new Royal Stadium, which, by the way, as far as I know, they still haven't set out a location. Like, have you heard that they actually have a place for it yet?
Have
Okay,
picked
I
a
haven't
site?
either.
No.
Yeah, okay, I haven't either. So they've got this rounding error, as you so politely call it. I call it something way different, of 1.28 billion that they found from October to November. So it changed that much. Ooh, girl. And they also were saying, oh, don't worry, we'll amortize this over the next 40 years for our Jackson County residents. All I can say is I feel like I can't decide how they're going to make all of these payments magically happen.
Here's my question, though. If they haven't picked a site, how do they know how much it's going to cost?
Thank you. So they already have this gigantic discrepancy because they can't do math. But now we pick a different site and it's not going to just automatically
Right.
change. What if
The
now
math
they're
won't
like,
math anymore.
yeah, the math stopped mapping 1.28 billion, whatever the heck it was ago. I don't know.
Right.
It stopped mapping
It's
then.
true.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just very interesting to me. And the thing that bothers me the most about it is they're going to pass all of that on. There is no reason, there is no real, true reason to move the Royal Stadium other than what I have to assume political and lining somebody else's pockets. That's the
Yeah.
only
Well,
thing that I can assume.
trying to centralize all of the like entertainment in that downtown area. I assume just based on all of the news and everything that they're probably going to build downtown. They're probably going to be over there by the Berkeley riverfront area. That's probably where they're going to build. And it would make
Man,
sense because then leading into the streetcar going down in that area,
yeah.
I think they've already picked it. They just haven't announced it because I'm like, how do you even come up with a budget when you have no idea where you're going to build? Like if you're building close to the river, your costs are going to be a lot different because you've got water to deal with
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true story.
and
A flood,
erosion and all this stuff. Like
yeah. And a floodplain like that flooded, that part flooded in 93. That was not immune to the flooding.
it was terrible. That was awful.
Well, did you hear about the streetcar?
So I did hear a little bit of something, but I know
Yeah.
you got the tea on that
I
also.
don't. I'm going to make up some more numbers.
Hey, they're making them up. We can make them up.
They can't do math. We can't talk about the stats.
Let
I
me
don't
just
know.
get you a blank check. Whatever.
But it's going to be different in November than it would have been in October. Whatever.
Seriously.
Okay, so they're increasing the tram north, right? So
The
the whatever they
streetcar
call it, the
expansion.
streetcar.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already started it south, and it's down to I think it's going right now. It's going to the plaza, and then it's going further than that eventually. But
Right.
they're now talking about the northern expansion. So right now it goes up to the River Market and it curves and it comes back around.
Does a
Yeah,
little loop-de-loop.
it does a little loop-de-loop. So you can ride that thing just constantly.
I love it. It's so much fun. Have you ridden it?
I have, yeah.
I love
did.
it.
I rode it for the first time at the draft this year. So that was the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that must have been terrible.
Let's see if this works. Oh, it was so terrible. Yeah. It was a big thumbs down. Thumbs down. There you go. Anyways, so they're increasing the northern route by 0.7 miles.
7.
So we're not even
Yeah.
talking a mile. And they're going into, what'd you call it?
The Berkeley
water?
Riverfront.
Berkeley Riverfront. See, that's
Mhm.
what you're here for. I
Mhm.
love your mind.
Details. Yeah, there you go.
The details are just not my thing. So, what I read was they're increasing the budget by 75%. So they were at $34.9 million. And that wasn't enough to go 0.7 miles. They've increased that. They've increased that 75%. An additional $61 million. Did you math that one fast?
So a total of almost $95 million
For
in
point
total?
7.7 miles.
What the fuck are they spending all that money on?
Fairy dust. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I cannot understand it.
I
To
don't even
point
understand.
0.7 miles. Put in a walking trail. People can walk 0.7 miles. That'll cost
Okay,
about
so here's
2 million.
you can walk your happy ass down there. Okay. No.
Just go.
Just go. We'll get you some birds. You can scoot your
Yes,
ass down there.
exactly. And the other question is, who pays for that?
Who is paying for that? Are they passing it on to like taxes and stuff? Is that how they're addressing it?
I don't know.
Mm,
Do you have something different there? Is it something like a government fund?
it doesn't. Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, there was something that said there's 60% of it is being federally funded.
So that
60% of the
means
total cost, and
so
they
that
just
means
increase it.
give or take, that means about 40 million will be passed on to the citizens of Jackson County.
Yeah, so they're basically saying, so KCTV5 reported essentially that the Port Casey board, which is the board that manages this project, they're making a contribution and they're increasing it from 8.5 to 10.74. But then that streetcar exec, Tom Durand, said that federal funds have also increased 75%. So essentially, their budget ballooned by 75%, but federal funds are going to cover 75%, increased by 75% as well, but it's only 60% of the pie.
I can't government math.
So yeah, you got what, $34 million?
So what is 2 plus 2 equal 9? I'm
Yeah.
so
In this
confused.
example, it certainly sounds like it. Or
Yeah.
9.2, which will round up
Nine.
to,
Next month
9.5.
it'll be 12.4. And we'll still have only gone 7.7 a mile.
0.7 miles. Have you been down to the Berkeley Riverfront lately though?
I have, yeah.
It
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I
It
really
is
do think that
cool.
that's where the Kansas City Royals are going to go. I
I
do.
see. I didn't even know that was a proposed site. I thought it was at Cherry and then up north in
That's
North
one of
KC.
them.
I did not know that. I thought they would narrow it down to 2.
So clearly they're going to move. I mean, clearly. There's money being spent all over the place to prep for some move. So clearly they're going to move. What do you think the Chiefs are going to do with Kauffman Stadium?
I
What,
don't know
what do
because
you think
they
is going to happen there?
they only have 6 more years there, don't they?
Yeah.
Isn't their lease only till 2030?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I would say it would be very disappointing if they decided to go to Johnson County. I will say
I
that.
agree.
That would
100%.
be
I
that would be
love
very
where it
disappointing.
is.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing, like someone needs to revive Adams Mark Hotel down there.
Oh, so bad.
Someone needs to
I
get
heard
that shit together.
I heard somebody bought it and they were
Really?
gonna put in. Now don't quote me. Don't quote me. Got it? I heard that somebody bought it and they were gonna
Let
do
me Google that.
they were gonna do low income housing.
We need it desperately. We need
Yeah.
we need more affordable housing, not necessarily just low income, but affordable housing
Oh,
in
that's what
general.
it was.
We
No, I'm sorry. It
need
wasn't low
it.
income. Sorry. I should have said
No,
that
it's okay.
differently. It was affordable housing. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the place to do it unless the Chiefs aren't going to stay there.
Well, it's a conundrum because right now it's just sitting there doing nothing. So, who knows?
World Cup 2026, the Adams Mark Hotel. Okay, so Fox 4, our local station here, is saying that the community builders of Kansas City acquired it in 2020
Hmm.
and they're going to try to breathe some life back into it.
Hmm.
And they're considering two options. You mentioned that one. They're doing mixed income housing, is what they're calling it,
Hmm.
or a total sports training facility. They're going to take a 378 room hotel right next to Giha Arrowhead Stadium and not use it to house people.
I don't get it. Hey,
I mean,
whatever.
we do need affordable housing, but I don't know that makes a whole lot of sense. But what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know. The original plan that I was told was affordable housing. So, who knows?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yep.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff happening in Kansas City, though, for sure. It's pretty amazing to see everything that's going on here. All right, lady. Well, is that it for today?
Huckleberry, fashionable.
Huckleberry.
Okay. Bada ding, 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 ding. Okay, Jana, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace out, Girl Scout.